Start. Hello, and welcome to the Season 45 response live stream. And today we're going to be...
Doctor Who videos since then, and then also Panopticon.
Season 45. I'm with Matt, and today we're going to be looking at your questions about Season 45 that was released yesterday, so you can talk about that. Image. Ask us anything there. So, any questions to begin with? Actually, yes, we've got a question already to begin with. Would the following things still exist? 30 years in the TARDIS, Doctor United, BBC Two, UK Gold 40th anniversary celebrations, the 50th anniversary documentaries, and Destiny of the Doctor. And it says it's not working.
Which Destiny of the Doctor? Is it the big finish?
I don't know. It says the live stream is not working. Could you just put down if it's working at all? If it's working, just say that it's working.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's working.
Well, listen.
I see it on my end.
Listen to the audio. See if the audio is coming through at all. So I'm not. It doesn't seem to be working particularly well. Is it working? Yeah, it seems to be working. I think it's working. Okay.
I'm buffering a bit.
That's all good. So. Yeah. Would these things still exist? Well, I don't know exactly if 30 years in the TARDIS would exist in the way it does in our universe. It would probably... You'd probably have something similar. But I don't think it would exactly be in the same way, because 30th in the TARDIS is quite pessimistic, actually, on the future of Doctor Who. And I think it would be more focused around the Griffiths era, I think, a lot, and then sort of looking back from there. I think it would be... You would get a string of things on BBC Two at the time, I think, actually. As for Doctor Who Night and BBC Two, I think we would have... Doctor Who Night and BBC Two would have still happened, I'm pretty sure.
Probably with Tom Baker as well.
Yep, and I think you would have had 1999, so McGann would have probably presented it, I think. The UK Gold... Right, connecting. Right. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Dear, I'm just seeing... This works. It seems... 1999, so McGann would have... Oh, they're quite far behind. At the moment, where we are actually in real time, I'm still talking about 1999 and McGann. Let's talk about the rest of the questions. Right. Will there be an episode where we return to Spiridon? Matt, do you think there'll be an episode where we return to Spiridon?
I'm totally not searching up which
Spiridon.
one.
It's in one of the Dalek stories in John Pertwee's era. I can't remember which one. Don't kill me, please. It's not Planet of the Daleks, is it? No, I don't think so.
I would assume it. I would have thought it was Planet of the Daleks.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought that. I mean, if it's Death to the Daleks, then I should
yeah, it's Planet of the Daleks.
Because I'm like, I don't remember it from Death to the Daleks, and that's the only Pertwee Dalek story I've seen.
Yeah, it's Planet of the Daleks. I don't know. Maybe. We haven't had many Dalek stories, actually. Well, we've had sometimes, but not really loads of Dalek stories in this timeline, because it's sort of that same sort of path as the classic series, not having too many. But
you say that, but Paul McGann's first season.
Yeah, well, Paul McGann's first season is the exception to that rule, having two Dalek stories in the same story. But then John Pertwee had two Dalek in the same season. Yeah, yeah, that same sort.
But more.
Yeah. I think it's buffering again.
Yeah.
It's back to bad. I've got no idea why this isn't working as well as it should be. Right. See, I'm not getting any more questions through. Hi, when will season 46 be? And Panopticon season 2? Panopticon season 2 will be probably out at the end of this month or the start of the next month. Season 46 will be at the end of the next month or the start of the month after that. Sorry it can't be sooner, but it takes a while to make these videos. Would the 5 Doctors and Dark Dimensions get their own secret DVD releases? I think they'll be released on VHS in the 90s, and then they might have released a few episodes in vanilla releases on their own, like the major ones, like 3 Doctors, 5 Doctors, Dark Dimension, and that sort of thing, around early 2000s. The movies would all got their own DVD releases as well.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
then the season box sets would have started coming out around 2003 of the ones you see in the videos. And then around 2013 they would bring out, at least in my head, box sets of the whole era of a Doctor with all their stories in, like 40 discs or something, depending on how many they've got, with the movies included in that. And noticing for more new Who actors apart from the Joseph era, first David Tennant, Panopticon, now Frasier, Adjman in season 45. Is there any reason because it, or is it just because? It's because, well, they're actors around the time. It's because the fact that they would have still been involved in that sort of thing. They were actors that would have been used, and they're not companions in this timeline, so give them a part, I think. Do you consider costumes of each Doctor in the timeline are the same as pictured in your videos? Yes, because most of them seem to be suits with very little variation between them. Yeah, they are the same as videos. What you see in the videos would be their costume. The Griffiths costume was that red sort of suit that he wore. The McGann is pretty much the McGann in our timeline, but there will have been variations. Occasionally you've seen variations, like Griffiths was sometimes just wear the jumper without all the suits over it and just a tie with that. Griffiths, of course, grew a beard later as well. Then you've got
beard is clothing.
Season 30 onwards, I think, would have been the beard actually. E. Grant would have had a lot. Richard E. Grant would have had a lot of costumes. It's sort of all around that same sort of purple style, sometimes going into a red. But it would have been variations of that, really. Like Capaldi has variations of that same sort of style. Anthony Head would have had the usual sort of it's a suit with the seal of Rassilon all over it, because the Doctor in the first episode would have just been appalled. He wouldn't want to wear those Gallifreyan robes. He would wear it on special occasions, but just normal day-to-day matters, he would wear his casual presidential suit, which they would stick the seal of Rassilon onto because of the fact that, well, the Gallifrey, they put it on everything. So that's how the costume would have been. Oh, and Joseph, he's got this lovely sort of red coat with a black tie and black waistcoat and black trousers with a white shirt, which is his costume. The next Doctors after that, they'll have different costumes. They do seem quite, very suit sort of like costumes, but I think the Doctor always has had that sort. It's either been a coat with a tie or something, or a waistcoat, that sort of suit sort of way, because it's always been that sort of thing. But they would change the tie. Maybe it's a bow tie, or maybe it's a cravat or something. But it's very much that formation. Why is the original TV and movie theme used for the season 45 end credits? Well, this is a very...
It is obvious, then.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story why this happened. So, in 2008, in our timeline, and presumably the other timeline, the BBC issued new rules that end credits had to be under 30 seconds long. So, 2008, Doctor Who comes around, season 45, and I realised the theme that I've got for season 44 doesn't work with the shorter end credits. As you can see, that's why they are so fast. So I had to resort to the original TV movie version, which is similar to what we used for 44, but there are a few slight differences. I had to resort to that for the end credits because it wasn't working, and that's the only thing I could do. So in timeline, it was probably because John Debney just wanted to change around the end credits theme for this new 30-second thing and try some other things. Hi in your universe.
Told him to do it.
Yeah. Hi, in your universe, who do you think should be the next Doctor? Well, that would be telling. I'm not telling you who the next Doctor is. The next Doctor you'll find out in due course. We have already
It's David Tennant.
No, it's not David Tennant. Shut up. David Tennant
It's
is...
Matt Smith.
Both of them have actually got parts, if you look at the end credits. Well, David Tennant's Will Adams in Panopticon, and Matt Smith has a small part, actually, in one of the Season 45 episodes, if you've noticed that on the end credits. But no, we've already cast...
Just get them out of the way.
We've already cast them, but you'll find out who that is shortly, actually. Well, not shortly, in a few months' time, you'll find out who it is when Patton Joseph regenerates. So, any more questions? Send them through and we'll answer them. At the moment we don't have anything more, but I think there's a lag by a minute, so you might be looking at more questions there as I speak. Yeah. See if there's any I haven't answered. Nope.
Shall we start speaking about the process of making 45?
Yeah.
Because that's what the stream is about.
Yeah. Well, how we make something is we start off with the initial ideas, and these start off months and months before now when you see it. Say the initial ideas for 45 started around December, maybe. Perhaps even into November when the first initial ideas came around. And then we sort of plan out what the season's going to be about. We plan out the episodes we want in it. And then after season 44 was done and around the time Panopticon 1, we write the synopsis for each episode, which we do, and then I spent absolutely ages writing the full script for the episode, which is usually around 3,000, 2,500, 3,000 words. And then I record that, and then I edit it up, and then you get it. Would Curse of Fatal Death exist in your canon? I don't know, I don't think it would. But I think there is very well a possibility they could have done Children Need Specials and Red Nose Day specials, but with the actual actors, like they've done in the new series. That could very possibly have happened. How do Patton Joseph's ratings compared to other Doctors? I don't know. It depends how much you would like that Doctor. I think people would have quite liked him. I think he would have been very popular at this time, especially because it was very much a departure from sort of the tiredness we got with Grant. And then sort of the staleness we got with Head, because his stay in one place couldn't really do anything, and then suddenly we get this whole boost of energy with Joseph because he's suddenly got freedom and he can explore, and he's got two companions, especially in season 45, where they can actually do some good stuff. What happened to Susan, K9 Mark II, Andred, Susan, and K9 Mark III?
Susan twice.
Yeah. Susan. She left at the end of, was it season 31, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We didn't kill her, did we? Did we kill her? We may have killed her. I don't think we killed her. K9 Mark...
As if I was there to make the decisions. If that was the case, the return of Naimon wouldn't have been a thing.
Yeah,
let me tell you that.
Yes. Even though you're the one who vouched for their return in 45 anyway.
I did. But that's because it made sense.
Yes. Anyway, so K9 Mark II would have gone with Romana in... What story is it? Gallifrey story, season 32, is it? Is it season 32? The one with Gregory. That Romana is overrun. Sort of. So there's... Anyway, Romana left in one of those. I can't remember. Is it the Prison of Time? No, is it? Is it?
I don't know.
I can't remember the name of the story.
But Romana was killed in 35.
Was she killed in there?
She was killed in season 35. Killed at the top.
Okay, she was killed in season 35. Romana was killed, which Matt has very kindly reminded me. K9 Mark II would have gone with her. Andred, he died in the Dark Dimension. I didn't mention the video, but yeah, he did. Mainly because he's shown up on no end credits since then. And K9 Mark III is K9 Mark 3 would have broken apart sometime before the first episode of Leftover, and it would have been referenced.
He would have rusted.
Yeah, but the thing is, they very much didn't want to have K9 in Leftover because that wouldn't really suit the show. Yeah.
Didn't fit.
I don't think that Patterson Joseph would have been the Doctor right now. It would have been David Tennant. David Tennant is in Panopticon, playing Will Adams, and David Tennant only became the Doctor because Russell T Davies was starting the show, and he'd previously worked with David Tennant on Casanova. In this timeline, Russell T Davies was never worked on Casanova because he was working on the show earlier on, which means he never would have worked with David Tennant. And at the time of season 44, that time Russell T Davies wasn't involved in the show, so David Tennant would not have been cast as the Doctor. A lot of us got into Doctor Who around 2008, me included. What big chance would a bunch of 5-year-old have into becoming big fans in the timeline? I think this here, you've got Patterson Joseph, Jacqueline Pearce and Sophia Okonedo in the TARDIS having adventures, mainly historical. I think around this time it wouldn't have been as exciting as Series 4 was, I don't think. But I think that child audience would have continued right through. I think in the red scenario it would have dropped off quite a bit, but I think season 44 and 45 would have done a lot to get the audience back, and especially something like the One Doctor that would have back. And season 46 will see more of sort of that vibe that you would have got sort of in the Tennant era. I think season 46 will see more of that. Yeah.
This guy's still vouching for the fact that David Tennant would be the Doctor around this time. I would like to hear the reasoning.
Well, it's given a reasoning that he thinks the Doctor at this point just would have been David Tennant. And that's why. Peter Capaldi, we do have something in store for him, actually, because I think it very much would have been cast. Well, he's been cast 3 times in the Doctor universe, so he very much would have been cast. But I don't think as the Doctor in this universe. Because
we've got plans for the future for him.
I've got plans for the future for him. A very important role.
As Doctor after that.
It's a very important role that you are already aware of, even if you're not really aware of it. That's as much as I will say.
In more ways than one as well.
Yep.
So
Patterson Joseph would have gone into Jodie Whittaker, meaning that Doctor wasn't as Richard Griffiths, Richard E. Grant, Anthony Head, Patterson Joseph for the Doctor, right. Have you ever thought of showing the VHS covers for season 27 to 40? Have thought of it. I might make them sometime. I've made a couple, but I can't. It just all depends if they need to be done, if I can bother to make them. It all depends on that, really.
You've got plenty of time to procrastinate on season 46, so
yeah, I think there are a couple you see in the early videos. Around season 28 you might see a couple I've done, maybe. Have you heard of Devious? Yes, that's the fan film thing with John Pertwee, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the one that's been going since
depicting
1991
season 6B.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 91. I think
it's been going since about 1991 when it started, and then even earlier than that, maybe. And they still haven't finished it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's been going since about 1991. John Pertwee, 1995, they did his bit, and they still haven't finished making the film. And the lead actor's like 80 now.
Well then. I mean, from what I've seen of it, it looks more like a complete product.
Yeah, well, that's how they've edited
it.
Would Jodie Whittaker get some kind of role in this season version .2? And they're all the same from the new series companions minus Martha. Right, Billy Piper was in season 44, if you look at the credits.
Yeah.
Who else have we got? We haven't had Catherine Tate in it.
But we did have Prima Agyeman.
Yeah, we've got Karen Gillan in it. She's in Panopticon. She plays Kendra, Leader's daughter. We haven't had... Well, we've had Arthur Darvill in it. He has a small part in season 45, remember? In the end credits. He plays one of the Roman soldiers, I think.
Yeah,
actually.
I wasn't sure if he did have a big role or not, but...
No, it's a small part. Would Jodie Whittaker get some kind of role in the version .2? Maybe. Probably around, if it was, probably around this time or in the 2010s at least. We'll have to see.
Yeah, wouldn't be earlier than that.
So yeah. So any more questions, keep going on and we'll answer them. What else goes into the process of making these?
The thing is, okay, we've just gotten one that says John Hurt, Christopher Eccleston, Matt Smith will never cast in this timeline. I think he's speaking about his timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, for ours, we cast Matt Smith, and I want Christopher Eccleston to play a character at some point.
Matt Smith plays a small bit part in an episode of season 45. Actually,
can't remember which one.
I can't remember. I think it's the one. I think it's Hot Air, maybe. I'm not sure. Is Doctor Who's effects still medical at the time? Medical. We've had an argument about that.
Mediocre.
Mediocre. Yeah. Is it still mediocre at the time? I think it'll be a lot better now because we've had 2 movies. We've had CBS actively involved in it. We've got no Star Trek at the time, because it got cancelled a few years earlier. So a lot of that Star Trek special effects production team, CBS, would have pushed into Doctor Who because that's the big product they're trying to show off. So I think you would get some quite good CGI, but I think definitely better than we got in our time at the time. But it wouldn't be
probably better than we have now.
It would be about the level we've got now, I would say.
Alright.
But it wouldn't be movie level, and you can definitely tell it's TV effects, but it would look quite good, and it probably would have won some awards through it, I would say. I heard Devious Episode 1 will be on the 20th of April, Mark Jones said to me, if it goes to plan. Well, there you go. I don't know anything about that. It could happen. I don't know. You know more than me about that. What the Master's role be in Dark Dimension? How would Andrew die? I'm not sure. Haven't really thought into it.
I mean, Dark Dimension would be definitely very different to the Dark Dimension we know.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Does Doctor Who get axed in your timeline like ever? The rule I set out at the start of this was show what happens if it went on after season 26, and the rule was, and it wouldn't get axed there, and see how it would go on just if it wasn't axed. There might be points in the future where they might take a year off or something like that in 2016, but a rule I made was it wouldn't get axed because it's showing how it would continue if it just didn't get axed. Because what if Doctor wasn't axed and it get axed in it? It wouldn't really work, would it? So it doesn't get axed in your series. In my series, no. So any more questions, just putting them in. Something also the title sequences, that can happen at any time, way before. I don't know. It's when, like, I've done some work on the season 47-48 title sequence already because I'm pre-planning. I've actually done some work on the season 49 end credits, but it's all just when I want to work on it and extend that in the future and continue. So it's a very long process of me just refining stuff over time. A lot of time I'm working on multiple things.
I mean, season 47s have already evolved. Like, they originally started out as something more akin to season 44, season 45, season 46. When I say more akin, like, yeah, just something more akin to that.
Yeah, and now the sort of, I'm not even sure if perhaps what we've got in mind for season 47, we should hold off to season 49 and do sort of a middle sort of thing, because I don't know, but we'll discuss that later. What if Doctor Who was never axed? Sort. That could be a title, but I'm not going to go about changing it now.
What if Doctor Who was never axed in the year 1989, or just any year?
But I think the title wasn't axed says enough already, I think. It's fine. Wasn't axed, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't axed. It's still an accurate title.
Yeah, if it just wasn't axed. in 1989. Now, some people have said, well, if it wasn't axed in 1990, technically that's what it is. But it's 1989 because
it was at 1989.
It was 1989 because they knew by the end of Survival that it wasn't coming back the next year, because they'd put that voiceover over it, which was specially recorded because they knew it wasn't coming back the next year. They didn't know it was axed technically, but they just knew it was.
Sylvester McCoy knew when he recorded it.
No, they recorded it especially for that.
Yeah, but I don't know if Sylvester McCoy knew.
Well, I think they all found out at the same time, because I remember Sylvester McCoy told Sophie Aldred about it. You should consider doing a series what if Doctor Who didn't come back in 2005 when more Sherlock and stuff in the future. Maybe it doesn't really pique my interest about doing Doctor Who slowly dying throughout the years, sort of more Sherlock animations, but that's not really the sort of things I want to do. And I've still got loads of episodes of this to finish off. Good luck on that, especially all the best luck with season 50 and the third movie, maybe. Thank you. Honestly, I was hoping that on April 1st you would upload a video setting or what else, that's timeline documenting what would have happened in our timeline. That is an idea I have come up with, and I may very well do that next year, but it was just a bit too much work for this year, just because of the fact that I would have to make a whole extra normal proper video, which making one a month is enough already. And I thought you would rather have season 4. Yeah, you'd rather have season 45 than a fake series 1 video. Have you thought of making fan-made streams continuity amounts of other shows in this timeline? If not dated, would I make what clips to use? I don't know what clips to use. Fan-made trailers, I've made one. Continuity, I made one. You can see them on there. Yeah, but I might do them at some time, might not. You can by all means do them, but clips to use, that's mainly the reason I haven't done them, is because there's so little clips that can be used for it. The ones that can be used, I have used. That's like why I did the Unicorn and the Wasp thing, because I think that's the only story that I could do something like that for. That didn't have the Doctor in the opening scene, but something you hadn't really seen, and something that would be in there, and a story in that timeline, so that's why I did that one. But all the other things, I pretty much exhausted everything I can do for it. Yeah, there can be more continuity announcements, maybe.
I mean, there's a guy on YouTube who actually did do some of them. Yeah. Know about him, Ben?
Yes, I've seen them.
Yeah.
They're quite good, and by all means do them. It's just clips are hard to find, and I've really tried to find decent clips that you can use, especially of Grant. Those are really difficult to find, because getting him in that costume, and because he's such a small bit of Curse of Fatal Death, you can say, yeah, just get clips of Curse of Fatal Death, but he's in there for about 10 seconds.
Eternity of the Daleks.
About 10 seconds.
Eternity of the Daleks did have a big budget, but Graham Harper did his best at making it look good. They
were fairly sure it was axed, but the DW production studios didn't close until about a year after Survival when JNT actually resigned. Yeah, but I think saying what Doctor wasn't axed in 1990 wouldn't really work anyway as a tied to one. 1989 is when the first sort of chop came. You know what I mean? So I would stand by the title, What If Doctor wasn't axed in 1989, but I wouldn't say 1990, even if that is the official date. But I don't think there ever was an official date. Resignation of JNT may be an official date, but I think it just wasn't renewed. They said it's not coming back the next year, and then they said no, it's not coming back the next year, or the next year, or the next year, and then 1 year, yeah, it's back. Sort of happened, but I don't think they even bothered saying it's not coming back the next year after a few years, because it just wasn't on. And I think that's why they did it purposely, because saying it's axed, the disastrous consequences that happened in 1985 for the BBC, when they actually said you're on hiatus. So yeah, get Babel Colour on the phone. I would very much like to, but I don't think he has time for this, unfortunately. Or the sole person wanted to. I don't know, but yeah, if he would, very nice. But I don't think this is the sort of thing he wants to be doing. But by all means, any of you take a shot at it. take a shot and see what you can do. And I'd be very interested to see the results. Just pop down a comment giving a link to it and let me see it. Which episode in your timeline would you say is the most well received? Which is widely considered worse? Well, widely considered the worst would be the name Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. Even if it perhaps isn't the worst, it is considered the worst. The most well received. I don't know.
Depends. What's your favourite Sherman one?
No, it's all about, I think, well received. I don't think we'll be able to pinpoint that without actually seeing it made in real life, just because the fact that from concept to actual, because we give you the concept and something that's would have happened in it, but without actually seeing it made, you can't objectively say how it is, if you know what I mean. So I don't know.
I mean, we can have a fairly good gauge of Robert Sherman because I don't think he knows how to write bad stuff.
Exactly. In Leftover Series 4, how would the Master react to Joe recognising him after the team realises who he is? I think the Master would laugh it off. The Master would just sort of chuckle and say, yeah, yes, I am the Master. The sort of whole sort of demeanour of him of being very sort of happy with himself. And there we go. Why did Paul Cornell step down as script editor? Was he fired with 3 seasons ready enough for him? I think personally he just got a bit tired of it. I think a lot of people
he did 2 seasons of Leftover and he did Rebel Hero.
Yeah,
Before
because he did Leftover Series 3. He did Leftover Series 4, which he sort of did with Stephen Moffat as sort of like an assistant. And then he did Rebel Zero. He did 43, 44, 45. That's 6 seasons essentially of Doctor Who he did. And I think after that you'd be a bit tired. He'd run his course.
Ben Aronovich wasn't tired though.
No, he definitely wasn't. But I think there's, after a while, people tend to step down. Stephen Moffat stepped down after a massive 8 years, even though he really wanted to step down after about 6. Well, he really wanted to step down after 2013, in fact, but he stayed on an extra year and then an extra year and so on and so on. Russell T Davies, he did 4-5 years. So a lot of people, it's just a time comes when, especially after doing 6 seasons of a franchise, if they're not necessarily the show, I think the time would come there. Would love to see the 11 in your timeline. Well,
the 11 would be...
The 11 would be a nice concept to see. I don't know exactly how we do it. You might see a concept similar very soon. But the 11, I don't know. If it were to happen, it would definitely be... When was Doom Coalition 1 out?
2015.
It would definitely be around that time. It wouldn't be any earlier of that, seeing the actual 11 character, if he were to appear. But I don't know. Hi mate, when does Gary Russell step down as producing a timeline? You'll have to wait and see. These are questions which would spoil it for you. So you'll have to wait and see when Gary Russell steps down. But
would Destiny of the Doctors, the video game, still exist?
I've already answered this one. I'm not sure. Maybe it would be bigger, probably a little better graphics, probably a bit more money going into it, and it would focus more on Griffiths. I think if it were, it wouldn't have. I don't think it would have the rest of the Doctors in, and would. I think they've retooled it so it's just Griffiths' Doctor, or if it's McGann at the time. No, it's McGann, isn't it? It's McGann 97.
Well, it was McGann at the time anyway.
Yeah, sorry, it's McGann. It would be but the BBC didn't count McGann. They didn't count McGann as one of the Doctors then because they thought very low on the TV movie. So Destiny of the Doctors just did not.
Yeah, but then they capitalised on it. They capitalised on it with all the 8th Doctor books and that.
Yeah, but that for some reason they just didn't. He wasn't counted as in the Destiny of the Doctors.
No, I think it was because Destiny of the Doctors was being developed before the TV movie, and then because for reasons it was released after.
Yeah. Anyway,
97 time.
But Destiny of the Doctors, it would focus on McGann and probably have bits of Griffiths in there. Maybe Griffiths might have recorded some bits on it. I don't know.
Probably would have.
Yeah. I can see Anthony Ainley still being it as the Master since 1996 he appeared as the Master, so He may have appeared
There
in
might
there,
have been a
but
game with all of the Doctors in it.
yeah,
There
I'm
might
not
have
sure.
been.
I could see Tom Baker perhaps taking that sort of video link role, perhaps. But I think most likely McGann would have done it in the What If universe because he's the current Doctor at the time, and on TV and BBC, and it's all one entity at the time. At least not until 2 years' time after that, 1998, when the Paramount deal happens, and then 2006 it changes into CBS. But that's interstudio politics.
Yeah.
But the whole Paramount deal, I think, was a very significant move for Doctor Who, and I think something that was very likely something like it would happen. Not necessarily Paramount, but there would have been another production company coming in at some point, just because of the fact that the BBC was very keen on co-production at the time, because they needed to fund stuff, and Doctor Who needed more money going into it, especially at the time when CGI started being developed.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, they were already cross-pollinating with Star Trek at that point with Nick Meyer.
Yeah.
The thing is, it was more popular in America, then American writer, then it's like, let's co-produce it with that company that.
Yeah, and they tested it out with co-producing a case for the Blue blocks, a case for the Blue box, with Paramount the previous year. They did that one with them, and then the next year it became full on. Do any other missing stories get found instead of others, like Daleks Master Plan instead of Two Sidemen?
Probably not.
I don't know.
Can't make anyone die instead.
Maybe
alive.
Things were slightly different. Maybe that's not something I can answer.
Yeah. Well, granted, like in this universe, there wouldn't have been any Big Finish, as you stated. And without Big Finish, there would be no Jago and Lightfoot, and that was the thing keeping Trevor Baxter alive for a few more years until his eventual death.
I just realised in this timeline, David Tennant would never met Georgia Moffat on the Doctor's Daughter, and they never got married. Yes, that is.
Then their children.
Yeah, their children would never been born, and that's.
Well, I think
that's
they adopted their children.
That's something very interesting, though. Because
that child might have existed, but like the others, no.
No. That's something very interesting because of the fact that just wouldn't have happened, and that's one of the. It's like stepping on a butterfly, that whole sort of thing, and someone just doesn't exist because time. It's a very Doctor Who idea, actually, that one decision is made in time, and then people just don't exist because time runs differently.
If communism wasn't a thing, one of my friends wouldn't exist.
Well, there you go. And what would
it's a long story, but it's not related to what we're speaking about, so I won't tell.
What would Doctor Who books be like in your timeline? Would they be mostly novelisations, or would they be the original stories? Novelisations would have been the main of it. There would have been, there would have been original books in there.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have been the main range of it. Mainly, they would be getting out a novelisation of each story each year. By the time you go into Redston, I think each of the Redston seasons...
It would have been a Doctor Who tome, essentially.
Yeah, each of the Redston seasons and season 45, I think, they would have written a novel for the whole season. So all of season 41, 42 and 43 would have had their own novel each, novelising the whole season as a story.
In a similar way as a short story anthology, except you get each writer to... Well, if they can write their own thing, then they can write their own chapter, let's say, and then it would be all edited by one person.
I think it would have been
or something like that.
I think it would have been a novel which would have been written by one writer, who I don't think would have written much for the actual show, just because they'd be busy otherwise. Perhaps someone like Terrence Dicks, who gets all of the scripts for that season, some rushes for it as well. Writes a novel which is released a couple of months after the season is released, but they'll be writing it for months. And it probably would be around 800, 900 pages, actually. It'd be a big hardback. And then after that, we would have gone back into single story novelizations.
I feel like there would have been paperbacks, right? There would still be paperbacks.
Well, I think a 900-page paperback would have been. I think the 41, 42 and 43 would there would have been hardback each of 900 pages, I think.
I mean, yeah, certainly.
But I think the rest of the Target's sort of targeting. Well, there would be BBC book novelisation point because Target collapsed and all that sort of stuff. With Virgin Books buying it out and the BBC books. If you want to find more about this, look it up on Wikipedia.
I mean, that stuff would have pretty much been the same.
Yep.
All that. And, like, I feel like Virgin would have still been doing it until Garwood left, and then when Sandeman came along, it would have been BBC. That sort of idea.
Yeah. So, how big would Doctor have been when Season 45 was airing? It would have been, in my opinion, at the time, the biggest science fiction show in the world. Because there was no Star Trek on. There was Battlestar Galactica on at the same time, but I don't know where it would have fared up against that, actually. They shared a writer, Ronald D. Moore, who's headed that show, would be a guest writer for Doctor Who in a few of the seasons. You can see what type of stories he's written. But it would have been, I think it would have overtaken that because in America it would be very big, much bigger than it was in our timeline, bigger than it is now, sort of. I think it would have been about the same level as Battlestar in America. And then in here, it would be the biggest science fiction show in here, like it was in our timeline, because it's the British science fiction show. And it would have continued to be that, with, yes, American influence in there. But I think it wouldn't be as popular with children. Children still watch it and still enjoy it, and they would still love it as Doctor Who, but I think Redstone especially made it go down and become more of an adult audience, but there would still be that,
Yeah, I feel like Redstone helped in terms of making it huge.
I think especially the movie was the thing that went, wow, the theatrical movie. And I think there were people who watched that movie, not ever seen the TV series, and would have gone back and watched the next season of the TV series after seeing that movie.
Yeah.
What was the fan reaction on Debney's mix of the Doctor Who theme from season 44? Do they think it fits? Debney's mix of the season 44 theme would have been done for a few reasons. One, sort of the backlash from the season 43 theme, which a lot of fans wouldn't have liked, even though I think it's personally alright. I think because it was quite dark, quite slow, and only sort of evoking the Doctor theme, never actually going properly into that melody. So they want to do something different. Also, because Gary Russell especially wanted to show the fun adventure of the series, very much give it a big sort of string sound, and show Doctor Who's back. It's back, soaring through the universe, and it sounds, dun 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 dun, dun, that big sort of sound to it, which they have there. And I think fans would have liked that because it's very different. But
still Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's not radiophonic like you had up until McGann, but it's not that slow theme in season 33 and 34, which sort of continued but a faster pace of it into season 46, and it's not the electronic sound we got for season 37 to 40. It's similar to the 41 and 42 theme, but not quite. But that's not quite as adventurous. It's more sort of epic, yeah. And then this is season 45. We're going, let's have an adventure. Come on. How well is Doctor Who done in America at this time? I've just answered that a couple of minutes ago. I suppose that comment came through before I answered that, actually.
So it's...
Pardon me.
Don't die.
I won't. So, would the Virgin missing inventions and past Doctor Adventures still exist in this timeline? I don't think so. No, wouldn't. I think it would just continue with the novelizations, and I think there would be original stories in there. BBC books original, but only like what we get at the moment, with these 12 Doctor novels you get out, so that you may read, but I think most people ignore them, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, a few past Doctor ones as well, occasionally.
Maybe, I don't know. They might have. I think if it would happen at any time, it would have happened around the 40th anniversary. They might have done a special release of past Doctor adventures.
And re-releases of some of the novelizations.
In Blood and Iron, will the Doctor be aware he's poisoned? Yes, I think the Doctor is a character, in my head at least, who can sense if something's wrong in his body. Like, you can see especially
the 7th Doctor.
Yeah, and you see it in our universe, in the Shakespeare Code, the Doctor knows one of his heart's off, he knows straight away. Even in the Unicorn and the Wasp, in fact, when he's been poisoned, before anything happens, he just goes, "I've been poisoned." So I think the Doctor would be aware he's poisoned, and he would have time before he regenerates to get back to the TARDIS to perhaps, you know, work out what's happened, try and find a cure before the regeneration happens. So any more questions? Continue going on. Yeah.
I feel like if my understanding of the Seventh Doctor is that he would win, but like I feel like with Blood and Iron there should have been like some sort of cost, and the Doctor realizes his mistakes and just he has the cure in his hand, but he's just like I think winning might be not. I mean, it's not like winning's not good. It's that the cost of winning isn't that good. So I feel like someone else should take the reins, if that makes sense.
Something like that. But then you got with Griffiths, his ending was so much that he cannot continue to be the Doctor how he was because of how guilty he was sort of over Henrik's death. That's how that sort of was.
Specifically Henrik.
Yeah.
Not Benny, just Henrik.
Yeah, well, I think because Henrik died in a very horrific way, becoming a Dalek.
So did Benny.
That didn't. Yeah. I don't know. What would the dates for season 27 to 36 what is left over in the air dates? The air dates I have worked out. I'll probably put them on the internet at some point, on the blog maybe. And there's a few on there already. However, I would show, I've done an Excel spreadsheet with all the air dates for everything on Panopticon, Leftover,
this guy's
Rebel Zero, that.
About Leftover Series 3, which is my favourite kind of air date.
But I'm not going to show you at the moment, just because of the fact that it's got spoilers for upcoming seasons on where we plan stuff out on. So I can't show you that at the moment. But I may put those on the blog, the air dates, list them all for you if you want to read that. But I have done them for everything. Dark Dimension air dates, well, that would have been around the 23rd of November. Just look at the nearest Saturday, 1993 to the 23rd of November. If you really want to find out Dark Dimension, that would have been it. Might have asked this already, but would Doctor Who figures still be around this time, like Daypole and Couch Options? Yes, they would have been. Daypole would have continued on, and then Couch Options would have come around at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I think that definitely would have happened. And you would have got figures, especially, and I think the figures would have been a very big thing for the kids into it. But I think there would have been a dip in figures and a lot of merchandise and sort of things more geared towards children in the Redstone era. And I think you would have got sort of like what we've got with Peter Capaldi. There've been figures, but there haven't been loads, and they've been quite sort of small and poor quality. Whereas with sort of the David Tennant era, especially, you were getting figures for minor characters, like that old woman with no face in Idiot's Lantern got a figure, I think.
That blue thing from
the Moxie Balhoun got one.
Yeah,
and I can see why, because
actually.
But the thing is, and I think by the time we get back to Joseph, maybe not season 44, but especially by the time of season 45, season 46 especially, they would have been going back to the big run of them. You would have definitely got a good 5-inch Joseph action figure. You would have got Lizzie and Angela. Probably would have got multiple versions of them. You would have got probably a spin and fly TARDIS of Joseph's TARDIS. You would have got probably a TARDIS play set of that lovely wooden TARDIS we saw in the Revelation video.
That's a nice TARDIS.
Would Doctor be more British or American at this point? It would be made in Britain. It would have mostly British accents, but a lot of American accents coming in. It would be
mostly British writers, actually.
Mostly British writers, mostly British production team, British producer, but America would be 50%, if not a bit more, of the funding. You know, they own 50% of it. A lot of that funding would go in.
Just under 50%, I think.
Yeah, they own just under it. Well, 50.54%, I think America own. Well, not America doesn't own half of it's CBS, not the whole of America.
America.
But I think it's definitely going to get a lot more American, and That's something that is inevitably going to happen. But at the moment, I think it is more British. But a lot of Americans are fans, especially the visual effects team. It's all American on that front there. But a lot of the team there making it in Wales would be British making it. And there'd be a few American people coming in, but mainly not the crew, more sort of people on the more production team, you know what I mean? Not the people there, like the boom microphones and the lighting and all that sort of stuff, and all the camera operators and all the other people on set, but the people behind, like the designers and the writers and the directors, would be the more American edge to it than the people actually there on set. Would Davros ever return? Maybe. If
Davros hasn't returned yet,
he might.
Which is odd.
He might very well return in the next Dalek story. He might not. We don't know. We will know very soon when we start to plan that out, but we haven't really thought that far ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on the Fifth Doctor era? I don't like it personally. It's not my era. I know some people do like it. And there are some stories in there I do like, but personally, the Fifth Doctor is one of my least favourite Doctors, and his era I've never
even
really
on Big
liked.
Finish, he's a bit bland.
Yeah,
like from what I've experienced. Apart from the good stories I've listened to, where he's actually good because he's put in situations like the mutant phase, and especially Spare Parts. I'm not forgetting about Spare Parts.
But his actual
really
era, his actual stories, there are some good ones in there, but I think most of them are just a bit meh. Or
it's only when they got to his last story when they actually worked out how to do the Fifth Doctor well.
Yeah, I think his good stories that I've enjoyed, Earthshock.
That is a good.
I kind of like Kinder. I kind of like Kinder.
It works better in text.
Yeah.
So that I've not seen it, so Moffat will kill me.
Snake Dance is alright as well, but I like both of the Mara ones, but they're not. I wouldn't say great stories.
Moffat will kill you for that.
Go ahead. The Five Doctors I never really liked, actually. I know you're supposed to like it, but I've always found it a bit. Yeah. Each
their own. Even though the Five Doctors is like it was one of my introductions to Classic Who, so
I guess it was one of mine, even though I was introduced to it much before. But it's like my introduction to Classic Who was City of Death, so I was very lucky there, and that was all by chance. I had no idea I was going to see that one.
I would consider myself lucky because I had the Five Doctors and the Two Doctors, and they're both really good.
Yeah, but what else? Kaiser and Dazani, I think you have to like because it's amazing.
Oof.
It's
yes.
Yeah, I can't say a bad word about Kaiser and Dazani apart from
that cave monster.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. Well, yeah, Fifth Doctor has never been really
hokey, but like
for me.
Who cares?
What the last words of the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th Doctors be? I can't remember off the top of my head. I may have said what they would be sometime. I think I have said what most would be somewhere else, perhaps in the comment section, perhaps in a video, or perhaps in another live stream. But I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry.
I like how he's not the 11th Doctor. Like he doesn't care about Alfie Head.
I think I may have just missed that one off. But,
or maybe you did actually say it in Revelation, and he's taken that into account.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. I may have said them, may have not. I think I have said a few of them, but you'd have to go digging around every single comment and every single reply to work it out. So you can do that if you want, but off the top of my head, I can't remember. Sorry.
Thing is, if I don't do it, no one else probably would. So.
Any more questions? Keep going in. We may wrap this up soon because we've
not even spoken about most of how 45 came to be. We just spoke about how it just how it would generally go about.
If you want to ask any questions about anything from 45 after seeing it, ask any questions about that, about the story details. Ask questions because that's the most fresh in our minds. By the way, that's the things we'll have most answers for because that's the things that we remember the most. Because ask me a question about something that happened in season 32, chances are I won't remember it. But 45. That's
I'll probably have to be your backup for the earlier ones because you don't like the earlier ones.
Well, I don't think I think I make them better. No, I like those as the eras if it was actually looking at them, but the actual things I made, it's harder for me to watch because I go back and I cringe at them because
the main thing I disagree with, right? So surprisingly, isn't the Return of Daimon from the Garwood era. It's actually Conquest of the Daleks, not it as a story, but the writer. No. Maybe Ben Aronovich was busy that year, so he was like,
The writer is, go on, Tommy.
Russell Davies. Russell
G. Davies, he writes it. There you go. See, I can't remember that.
He wrote I
can consult a spreadsheet and I will find out. But, yeah. Why did Luke have to die? Yoda could just kill him like that. Don't span this with Star Wars, please.
Wrong.
So I'm just going to say this right now, just so all of you get the right idea. I don't like Star Wars. I have seen all the films, but I don't really like it. So just call me like I'm sinning or something, but I've never really liked it. Star Trek is much more my cup of tea. Not that there's competition between the two of them, well there is, but it's... I've just never... it's never done it for me, really. So please don't talk about Star Wars in here. For one thing, it's off topic. Ask about season 45 and everything about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised not more people are like frantically excited for 46, knowing who the script editor for 46 will be.
Yes, I did reveal
the
that.
The best writer.
Yeah, the script editor is Robert Sherman, if you didn't pick up on that. I did have a picture of him with a Dalek, didn't I?
Yes.
So, there you go.
So you automatically know season 46 will be the best season so far. You don't even know the stories yet, but it's going to be the best one so far.
We have planned out what's happening in season 46, and I'm very excited for it. We have 10 episodes again. I will tell you, there's not a Christmas special, mainly for the reason that, well, the last one's popular. It's a lot to make. Also, there might be something else coming along at that time. Perhaps a movie. Well, there you go.
Right.
Which means to make a Christmas special as well as that, and also because it's around the same time, I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah.
So while the Christmas special out of period, should probably explain the 45 video. The reason the Christmas special happened for 45 is because they wanted to experiment and wanted to go, okay, let's see what it's like to have a Christmas special. And they said, we'll give you a one-off Christmas special this year. See how it goes. See what Doctor Who can do.
The year when Doctor Who expands.
45 with Patrick Joseph for changing colour. Change your costume mid-season. I don't think so. I think he would have stayed in that. There would have been variations to probably change the waistcoat, change the tie, perhaps the shirt, but that same coat would have stayed.
Like a ruffle around the neck. He might have worn that at one point.
But I think that same basic costume would have changed. There'd be variations. Maybe the trousers might change, but that same coat would have stayed the same. I don't think they would have changed the costume. The costume specific stories, like sort of the more history ones, but something more like Storm Warning or something like that, he may have dressed into something else. But I think no one can read Shakespeare like that.
Use of that perception filter.
No one can read Shakespeare like Patterson Joseph. Well, a lot of people can read Shakespeare. Patterson Joseph does it very well. I don't say other people could do it maybe better, but I think he's one of the best for Shakespeare.
Would you say Patterson Joseph is better or worse than Patrick Stewart in terms of reading Shakespeare?
I don't think anyone beats Patrick Stewart, you got to say. As good as Patterson Joseph is, I don't think you can beat Patrick Stewart in that sense. Would the Christmas special be only one in this time, and would it become a tradition in our time? It wouldn't become a tradition. There won't be one the next year, but it'll be very popular, and I can see them doing another one, but I don't think it'll be every single year them doing one.
Yeah.
In this timeline. Mainly because you've got movies coming out. You've got that around the February or December, sort of November period where the specials come out. It's a lot to make a Christmas special as well as a series, especially if you've got a movie that same year. And also, as well, just on top of the series making a Christmas special, it's making a whole other story, which is, that's another 90 minutes of Doctor Who making each year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't think they would have... It wouldn't have become a tradition every year, but you will get more than just one. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm.
Season 46 hype. Well, you've got Panopticon 2 first, which I think we've got some very good ideas in there, and you'll see how it develops there. But Season 46, yeah, I think we've got some very good stuff in there. We've got... It's very interesting. We've got a very good mix of stories, and it's not all tied together in the same sort of way. 41 through 45 really has been very much this whole story archive. That 44 and 45 are focused on a villain, following through there. It's very much going back to sort of that feel, at least for this season, of... And there'll be time bits together in it. They won't be as close. Of just having some adventures in the TARDIS. Some great, fun adventures in the TARDIS. No, sorry me again. If Doctor wasn't as... Well, it's been a very enjoyable series, by the way. I've been enjoying smart criticism. Yeah, like your criticism earlier. That's fine. Enjoy it as much as you want. I'm not here to stop you enjoying it. Enjoy it. But that's just how you think the casting would have gone. Personally, we think that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, my question is, would Patterson Joseph be like his character in the Peep Show? I don't know. Maybe.
I've not seen it, but I doubt. I mean, the thing, I doubt it. I mean, from the sounds of it, maybe a bit, but like not.
I think his Doctor would be a mix of Chris Rexton, David Tennant, with a bit of perhaps Troughton in there.
Do you know what I see Patterson Joseph as? Pretty much the Schalke Doctor.
Yeah, with elements in there.
Slightly
But I
different.
think he would have been a lot more... I think comedy would be playing a lot more into that. He would have a lot of the Troughton sense of comedy in there, while also being take it very serious, and then switch in an instant, but make it feel very smooth. For stuff like the One Doctor and stuff like You Can Only Time Travel Twice, to very comedy episodes there. He would be able to do that very well. To think about costumes, in You Can Only Time Travel Twice, for the majority of that, the Doctor would be dressed in a tuxedo.
Yes, because why wouldn't he? If you're gonna go full on James Bond, go full on James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Would there be any animated stories in your timeline like Infinite Quest and Dreamland? Maybe. I'm not sure. That is pretty much the standard answer at the moment. I have to think about it. I think it would have happened, but I'm not sure. Maybe. Thank you for getting me hooked on the song Rocket Man. Well, there you go. Enjoy it. I will say something. I haven't actually said this to Matt yet because I only thought about it last night actually. But you may hear perhaps a variation of Rocket Man coming back in a later movie, perhaps.
Okay, you've not told me this.
No, because I only thought of it last night and I found the perfect version to use.
If it's the William Shatner version.
No, it's not. No, definitely not. In the end credits on your extra channel, most names in the cast and crew made up. Now, we've actually had a big discussion about this recently, actually. I think only a couple of days ago. And in the early series, especially before season 40-ish, a lot of the stuff, I don't know why, but I guess I couldn't be bothered to cast any, and a lot of the cast were made up. A few of the crew, but most of the crew were real. But since season 40, really, it's been a big thing of mine, especially in 44 and 45, for every single person in there to be real, cast every single crew to be real, especially going to season 46, that's every single person there is real. I think 45, just because the previous casting had done it the same, because there was returning Beloshian characters who came in in there who were cast when it's like not real actors and stuff like that. One of the main actors who people have claimed isn't real is John Patton, and that's because John Patton isn't his real name. His real name is Will Patton, and I think he was in something which was British, or maybe it was Star Trek or something, where he used the pseudonym John Patton, because that's what he uses.
I think you told me it was a Star Trek one.
It may have been Star Trek, but I definitely know on stage, he was on stage in Britain at some point, and he used the name John Patton. And yeah, and I took it from that.
Patton has two T's.
Yeah, that's the one screw up. That is the one screw up I did make. Well, there's two major screw ups in this time I did make. There was John Banks, who actually didn't start acting until 2006. Though they may have cast him earlier. They may have talent spotted him way before he did in this timeline and got him in there. That is a very real possibility. That's the only explanation I can have. And the other one is John Patton. His name's actually Will Patton, but he went by the pseudonym John Patton at least one point. But Patton's two T's, not one T, so that's a mistake you're just going to have to...
Well, those are the main in terms of casting, because I feel like they probably would have cast Lisa Bowerman. That sounds likely.
Yeah, because she was in Survival as, what's her name? The cat person, but what's her actual name? I can't remember her name. She has a name. What's her name?
Wait, the
the character Lisa Bowerman plays in Survival. Kara, that's it. Do you have any particular favourite Doctor Who series from the series so far? My favourite one as an actual episode, like, of the series, I would say...
What, to make?
That I've made. No, Revelation is probably the favourite video I've actually done.
Alright.
Favourite Doctor out of... I'm going to count McCoy, Griffiths, McGann, Grant, Head, or Joseph. That's 6. I don't know. I really don't know. I love all of them in their own ways. McCoy, especially 27, I think would have been an extension of season 26. McCoy, and I think it would have been quite good. I don't know. Griffiths would have... I think Griffiths would have been one of the most popular Doctors. I think him and Tom Baker would be the most popular Doctors.
Yeah.
McGann would have been very similar to how it was in our timeline, but just getting 5 series. 5. And
wouldn't Griffiths be like a combination of 7 and 1?
7 and 1 with a bit of the eccentricity of the 4th Doctor, I think.
Okay, yeah.
That's how I see it.
That makes sense.
How far has you planned ahead season 46? At the moment, we've got rough plans, very, very rough plans, up until 2014.
Yeah.
But it gets very rough.
5 years ahead.
In the Dark Dimension credits, why did you remove credits for the Master, Romana, Sidemen, and Romana 2? I'm not sure. I can't remember doing that. I may have.
You need to redo them because Adrian Wrigglesworth is not a person. It's Adrian Wrigglesford.
Yeah, I don't know how that. I may have just. I think I've done the Dark Dimension credits about 5 times actually, and I still can never get it right. I will fix them sometime.
I'll go through them with you in a call.
Yeah.
And be like, right, so you've got to include Rick Mayall somewhere.
Right, yes. I don't know how that happened. I think I was just being lazy at some point. Missed some things out. I will fix a lot of those early credits again to make sure all the cast are, for one, real, which is a very important thing. Secondly, they make sense. And thirdly, that there weren't directors who were 8 years old at the time, which happened on one occasion. But there was a director for a Griffith story who would have been 8 years old at the time, so I do need to fix that one. But luckily, those aren't in the actual main videos. So
make sure all the directors are real.
Yeah, luckily they aren't in the main videos, so that helps. So that means that I can retcon it as much as I want.
You can't retcon Conquest of the Daleks.
No, I think they giving it to RTD may have not made the best story, but I think they're saying, right, just...
I don't care about the quality of the story. I care about that it makes sense, and I don't think it makes sense.
I think... Was it his first credit or was it his second credit?
It was his first credit because
but
it was earlier in the season.
He wrote
like, Damaged Goods.
Damaged Goods first, and then this... I think he wrote Damaged Goods first, and then Milanovic would have said, look, we've got to do a Dalek story because BBC want a Dalek story, right? And we need to do a Dalek story. The thing is, I'm script editing this, and I really don't want to write one because I'm really tired about this. Russell, can you write it for us? And he went, yeah, sure, yeah, write Doctor Who, yeah, I'm writing Doctor Who.
And then
in a Welsh accent, of course.
Stephen Moffat, 2 years later, writing a story featuring monsters he doesn't like.
And called Hatred of the Daleks, by the way.
Yeah, but I feel like Garwood would have been like, guys, it was his first day on the job, and he didn't want to do that, but he still wants to do Doctor Who. Let's get him to be as imaginative as possible. Blink.
Yeah.
Done. That's how Blink came to be in the timeline. I'm making it canon now. I don't care, Ben, if you have all the authority. It makes sense.
Right.
It's canon.
Yes.
It makes sense to both parts.
Yeah. Any more questions? We may finish up in about 10-20 minutes time. So just get all the questions, chap. Ask mainly about 45, because this is the 45 response Q&A.
Shall we speak about the facts that 45 is literally Seasons of Fear?
It's based upon Seasons of Fear, which is a big Finnish audio drama, and the structure of it is there, but a lot of things are different in it, and characters are different.
Mainly the fact that the second half of season 45
is completely different.
Is very not Seasons of Fear, but
the first
still
half
has
of it is there. We changed a lot of it. Sorry about that. Sorry. So what was I saying? Seasons of Fear.
Yeah.
Season 40. Season 45, of course. The first half of it, first 5 episodes are very much there. There's episode 4 and episode 1 less of that, really. There's only got bits of that, and episode 4 is inserted.
Makes sense to be what it is.
Yeah, and then episodes 6, 7, 8, 9 are very much not that, but they are based upon some other stuff. And then
episode 10 is loosely based on
the end of episode 10 is loosely based upon the end of Seasons of Fear. Also in the last night, also in Nightfall, you put Ian Fraser producer. Did I? When did I do that? Ian Fraser, who's Ian Fraser? Right, I have to check that. That may have been a very early mistake. Maybe he was originally putting him as producer. I'm not sure. I have to check. Anyway, what the console room looked like in 45, like it looked at the end of Revelation. I showed you that at the end of Revelation, and you can see that is the wooden one. So I can't get the image up now because I can't find it. I'm looking.
The thing is,
but look at Revelation, and I've got that console room there.
The thing is, I would want to discuss, okay, what would be the best one, what would be the worst one. But the thing is, we can't discuss what would be the best one because we already know it would be episode 4, Hot Air, because of the writer alone. That's it's quite annoying, the fact that Robert Sherman is a writer in the.
I think Hot Air would have been very good, but I think also Burning Books would have been very good as well. I mean, that would have been very good. In Thy Image would have been interesting. Aria Falsica would be very slow paced, but has the monk in it as well, but it's very much just a base on a siege story, which you get with Operation Salvation and Cold Star especially. You get those as well, so that's 3 in a season really. So it drags the pace down a bit.
I mean, bus stories are great though.
I know, but having loads in a season isn't necessarily the best thing, is it?
I mean, season 5.
I know it can work in some situations. It may work here, but I don't know.
And I feel like Cold Star probably would have been the least good one. I feel like the cast would have saved it.
I think Cold Star would have been...
Yeah, I don't think it would have been bad, actually. I think it would have been the least good, let's say.
I think the least good of the series probably would have been, I'm going to say, Confess. It's the thing that
I'd say that would be the second least.
I think it would have least going for it. Nicholas Briggs' writing would have been the positive, but I think there's just not much happens in it, and it seems to be very much stalled.
I feel like it's going to be either Confess or Operation Salvation.
But
because
Death of Jensen as well doesn't have much happening in it. It seems the story would be very extended over that 90 minutes.
I feel like Ron Moore would have made it work, though.
There would have been a lot more elements to the original Seasons of Fear idea, though.
It wouldn't have been the worst one, as long as it's better than Name Shakespeare, Societal Step. That's fine by me.
Yeah. No,
it would have been definitely better than that.
Yeah, well, I think
they would have been.
Ronald D. Moore is working here for Death of Jensen on a historical episode. That isn't necessarily his comfort zone, so I think it wouldn't have been as good as he could make it because of the fact that
practically ranking these now.
He's not in his comfort zone there, but I still think it would have been alright. But I think Death of Jensen wouldn't have been as good as it could have been. It's Conquest of the Daleks based on War of the Daleks. I can't remember. I don't think it is. It may have a very similar concept, but not that I can remember. Because if it was based on War of the Daleks, I think I would have just used the title War of the Daleks, because there's not much difference in it.
And you would have used the writer, but it's that writer.
Yes. John Peel.
I mean, we've pretty much came up with the headcanon that Tanya Holmes is secretly John Peel.
Yeah, Tanya Holmes is a pseudonym for John Peel.
Yeah.
The writer, not the DJ. There's two John Peels, but the writer.
The one that wrote Time Worm Genesis. I feel like that's his like most famous one, isn't it?
I think so. I'm not sure. Are you have you got the sound on your watching it? Because I'm hearing myself come back in your thing.
No, I don't have my sound on, but I feel like it's because I have my headphones loud.
Oh.
So I can hear you speak.
Right. So we're probably going to end this up around here now.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that we've had a lot of questions. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, so I'm gonna
say is my favorite end credits is Operation Salvations, because it's like we're gonna cram as many people as we can in here.
But yeah, there's some very good actors in there, isn't there?
Like Scott Bakula.
There's
Gorman.
Let's have a look at that before we go off. Have a look who we've got. We've got We've got Parson Joseph, Sophia Canedo,
good.
Paul Darrow, Scott Bakula, James Callis, Bern Gorman, Kate Vernon, Emma Caulfield, Robert Beltran, Spencer Wilding, Alan Ruskin, Richard Ashton, Nicholas Briggs. Those are actors, and I think that is a brilliant cast.
Who did Nicholas Briggs play?
Voice of the Ice Warriors.
Yeah. It's like Nick Briggs is gonna be rich man in this universe.
The richest people would be the estates of Sidney Newman, Donald Wilson, and C.E. Webber.
True.
And then it's Pip and Jane Baker.
Yeah. Nick Meyer.
Nick Meyer, because they've got the most creators credits, really.
Yeah. Thing is, Nick Briggs would be rich because he plays so many characters, and he's a writer and a director. Yeah. So pretty much
I also think Cold Star has a really great cast as well. We've got Patterson Joseph, Sophia Canedo, Jacqueline Pearce, Paul Darrow, Tucker Smallwood, Alexander Siddig, Mary McDonald, Miriam Diab, how's that?
Miriam Dabo.
Miriam Dabo, Linda Park, Ian Glenn, Andrew Underwood, Samuel Anderson, Laura Artower, Alan Dale, Quinn Lawrence, Craig Wassan, Otto Rem, Spencer Wilding, Alan Ruskin, Richard Ashton, Nicholas Briggs, and Timothy Dalton as the Rogue.
I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's a Living Daylights reunion because Tim Dalton and Miriam Darbo.
Well, there you go.
You know, that didn't click with me for some reason, even though like.
But I think
because Tim Dalton was Bond and Miriam Darbo was the Bond girl, which the Bond girl was written horribly.
But they weren't sharing any scenes together. Timothy Dalton literally just be at the end, probably on a comm link or something, saying to me, and then that would be pretty much it.
Storm Warning is the Blake 7 reunion.
Yes, Storm Warning. You've got Gareth Thomas, Paul Darrow, and Jacqueline Pearce, all in the same story. Gareth Thomas and Paul Darrow would have shared lots of scenes together, actually, because those characters shared lots of scenes together. And Jacqueline Pearce would have shared scenes with all of them, so that would have been quite a special moment for fans, I think.
I mean, Jacqueline Pearce would have spent a lot of scenes with Paul Darrow.
Yes, a lot over the series.
I love the fact that I'm like, it would be amusing if Paul Darrow was like Sebastian Jensen, because it would be like, I just thought.
I also think it's the perfect casting for that character. I couldn't think of who else I would cast for that character, because especially that photo I chose of him, the one that is not photoshopped, the proper one. I think
he does look.
I think he looks very much like that. I see that character as him now. One final question: why are the TARDIS season 27 stories not the original TARDIS Bad Destination, Thin Ice, and An Action Distance? As far as I know, it was. I just went off the sources I had at the time. It was Earth Aid, Ice Time, Crime of Century, and it was Animal, in fact. But then I read that the original title for that Andrew Cartman actually wanted was Blood and Iron, so I used that. Including your series, what is your favourite Dalek story? I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Dalek stories personally. Actually,
I feel like when Daleks are good,
I think I know straight away. Actually, I just thought Jubilee.
Yeah. You better say Jubilee.
Living Daylights is actually one of my favourite Bond films now. I want to watch that episode more. Please go ahead, watch it. Anyway, I'm going to end up here now.